Hare Krishna, good evening everybody. Welcome to our Bhagavad Gita study group, broadcast every Wednesday, live from the Bhakti Yoga Institute. Tonight we are going through chapter 9, Rajaguhya Yoga, the hidden treasure of devotion. And we can begin with Vandanam. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakkuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukam karoti vatschalam bhangam langayate girim jat kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurun Dinataranam. So we'll begin as always by hearing the Sanskrit recited by our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. Chapter 9, you can follow along in your Gitas.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Navamodhyaya, Rajaguhya Yoga, Sri Bhagavanuvata, Idantu te gucchatamam, Prabhakshamyanasuyave, Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam, Yajgatva Mukshase Shubhat, Rajavidya Rajaguhyan, Pavitram Idamuttamam, Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumabhayam asraddhadhana purusa dharma syasya parantapa aprapya mang nivartante mrityu sangsara vatmani maya tatavidam sarvam jagad abhakta murtina matsani sarva bhutani na chaham teshavasthita na chamasthani bhutani pasyame yogameshwaram bhutaprid na cha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavana yathakasha sthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani masthani tupodharaya सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं जानति मामिकां कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहं प्रकृतिं स्वामवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्राममिमं कृष्णम् अवसं प्रकृतिवशात् न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीन वदासीनमसक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेन प्रकृतिः श्रूयते सचराचरं हेतुनानेतो कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तु मम भूतमहेश्वरं मोघासा मोघकर्माणो मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसीमासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं स्मृता महात्मानस्तु मां पार्थ दैवीं प्रकृतिमाश्रिता भजन्तनन्यमनसो ज्ञात्वा भूतादिमव्ययम् सततं कीर्तयन्तु मां यतन्तश्च दृढव्रता नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्त उपासते ज्ञानयज्ञेन चापन्ने यजन्तु मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्तेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम् अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः सदाहम् अहमौषधम् मंत्रोहम अहमेवाच्य अहम अग्नि अहं सुतम पितामहस्य जगतो माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रमोङ्कार ऋक्साम यजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभु साक्षी निवास शरणं सुहृत् प्रभव प्रलय स्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् तपाम्यहमहं वर्षं निगृह्णामुत्सृजामि च अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सद् असत् च अहमर्जुन त्रैविद्या मां सोमोपा पूतपापा यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा सर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ति ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोक अश्नन्ति दिव्यान् दिवि देव भोगान् ते तं भुक्त्वा सर्गलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रैधर्ममनुप्रपन्ना गतागतं काम कामा लभन्ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तु मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् ये पन्नदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति ते नातश्चवन्ति ते यन्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितृव्रता भूतानि यन्ति भूतेज्या यन्ति मद्जाजिनोऽपि मां पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं जो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्तुपहृतम् अस्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत् करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः संन्यासः योगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समां सर्वभूतेषु न मे दिश्यस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तुमां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यग् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा सच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थ व्यपाश्रित्य जेपीषु पापजोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्रास्तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणा पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यम् असुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व मां मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मज्जाजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः। इति श्रीमहाभारते शतसाहस्रां संहितायां वैयासिकां भीष्मपर्वणि श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे राजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः।
The Supreme Lord said, I now reveal to you, who are without envy, this most hidden treasure of knowledge of pure devotion, with direct realization of me, knowing which you will be liberated from inauspiciousness, from all that is opposed to devotion. Know this to be the King of secrets, the King of knowledge, supreme, pure, and imperishable. It is known by direct realization, by one eager to serve me. It is the perfection of religion, and very easy to practice. O conqueror of the enemy, men who have no faith in this hidden treasure of devotion to me are unable to reach me, and so they remain wandering on the path of death in the material world. This entire universe is pervaded by me in my unmanifest form, and all beings are situated in me, yet I am not in them. Again, they are not in me. Behold, my supreme mystical power of inconceivable oneness and difference, Achinta Bheda Bhed. I myself am the mainstay and origin of all beings, but I am not in them. Know that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, similarly all beings rest in me. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all beings are merged in the material nature of three modes, which is my external potency, and at the beginning of a new millennium, I make them manifest again. I control my potency of material nature to repeatedly manifest the multitude of beings who are helplessly controlled by their natures. O conqueror of wealth, I remain detached and situated as neutral in the cosmic manifestation, sustenance and withdrawal, and these functions cannot bind me. O Kunteya, ordained by me, my illusory potency produces this universe of moving and stationary beings. Thus it is manifest over and over again. Not knowing the transcendental nature of my form of human features, ignorant persons blaspheme me, the supreme Lord of all beings, considering me a mere mortal. Their hopes, acts, knowledge, and thoughts, all in vain. Such persons acquire the ignorant and demoniac nature which leads to their downfall. But, O Partha, the great-hearted souls take refuge in the divine nature, and they wholeheartedly worship and adore me, knowing me as the eternal origin of all. They continually chant my glories, strive to learn spiritual truths about me, and faithfully follow the devotional practices. Bowing to me and worshipping me with devotion, they aspire for their eternal relationship with me. Others perform the knowledge sacrifice and worship me in oneness. Others worship me in differentiation, and yet others worship me in a multitude of ways as the universal form. I am the Vedic Jyotishottama sacrifice, and the 5 sacrifices to the Vishvadeva demigods, and others as enjoined in the Smriti scriptures. I am the oblation to the ancestors, the food and the mantra. I am the sacrificial ingredients such as ghee. I am the consecrated fire, and I am the act of offering. I am the father and mother of the universe, the ordainer of the living beings, fruits of actions, the forefather, the object of all knowledge. I am the purifying Om, the Rig, Shama, and Yajur Vedas. And I am the goal, the maintainer, master, witness, refuge, guardian, and true friend. I am the universal manifestation, sustenance, and withdrawal. I am the reservoir. I am the original seed. I am the imperishable Supreme Lord. O Arjun, I give heat and rain comes and goes by my will. I am immortality and death. I am truth and untruth. Persons who perform the fruitive ritualistic sacrifices prescribed in 3 of the Vedas worship Indra and other demigods. In fact, they worship me, but in an indirect way. They drink the sacrificial remnants of the soma beverage, purifying themselves of sin, and pray to attain the heavenly plane. As the result of their piety, they reach heaven and enjoy celestial pleasures. After enjoying the vast heavenly plane, upon the exhaustion of their pious merits, they return to the human plane. In this way, persons desiring enjoyment, who follow the Vedic rituals for demigod worship, come and go. They undergo repeated birth and death in this material world. I bear the responsibility of acquiring and protecting the necessities of my fully dependent devotees, who are always absorbed in thought of me, and who worship me in every way. O Kunteya, the devotees of the demigods who have faith in worshipping them are actually worshipping me, but incorrectly. I am the enjoyer and rewarder of all sacrifices, but being ignorant of my position, the demigod worshippers fall to take birth again. The demigod worshippers reach the demigods. The forefather worshippers go to the plane of their ancestors, and the worshippers of the spirits go to the spirits. But those who worship me come to me. If one offers me with devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I affectionately accept that offering of the clean-hearted devotee. O Kunteya, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give and whatever vow you may keep, do everything as an offering unto me. Acting thus, you will be free from bondage to action and its auspicious or inauspicious results. With mind selflessly linked to me, you will be perfectly liberated and you will come to me. I am equal to all, so no one is my enemy or my friend. Yet for those who serve me with love, as they are bound by affection for me, I am similarly bound by the tie of affection for them. If even a very sinful person serves me exclusively with devotion, he should be regarded as saintly, for his resolve is perfect. He swiftly becomes a person of virtuous practices and attains constant peace. O son of Kunti, declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. Or, second meaning, O son of Kunti, declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. One who declares this swiftly becomes virtuous and attains eternal joy. Commentary by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. The second interpretation of this verse was revealed to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in a dream. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Sri Krishna says, Ajana ivam gunaram dosham maya distam api swakam dharmam satyajaya sarvam madbhajetsa chasatama. The best of the saintly persons are those who have surpassed the forms of duty that I myself have recommended in the scriptures for the people in general. Although it is my directive, they cross it and render loving service to me. In society, one must obey the law, but there is also the situation of crossing the law to show fidelity to the king. If one risks his life and reputation and crossing the general law enters the royal chamber to combat an assassin, then he will be considered the most loyal servitor. Similarly, the Lord is saying, I have already given some direction for the people in general. Do this, don't do that, don't cross these laws, etc. But if for my interest anyone takes the risk of committing sin, then he should be considered the best of my devotees. So Arjun, go and declare it. Promise to the public that the Ananya Bhak, the exclusively devoted persons, will never come to ruin. Then you will get the benefit. You will become Dharmatma, or religious, and attain eternal divine happiness. The Ananya Bhak, the exclusive devotees, have already crossed the threshold of Dharma, the standard of dutifulness, and taken the risk to throw themselves fully into my service. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. There is no question of them becoming virtuous or religious, as they long before surpassed Dharma and took the risk and entered into Prema Dharma, my loving service, transcending both piety and sinfulness. O son of Pritha, persons of low birth, women, merchants, or laborers, they too attain the supreme destination by taking full refuge in me. So can there be any doubt that those Brahmins and saintly kings who are pure devotees will achieve the supreme goal? Therefore worship me, since although this human body is temporary and a place of suffering, it is attained only after many births, and it affords the best opportunity to render devotional service to me. Always think of me, be my devotee, always worship me and offer obeisances to me. Thus, offering yourself to me and taking refuge in me, you will come to me. End of chapter 9, The Hidden Treasure of Devotion, from the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in the Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. So, Hare Krishna. The chapter summary. The Lord reveals to Arjuna the topmost secret, constituting the supreme law, the zenith of all religion, which gives the clue to the acquisition of true knowledge of the self and of the Godhead. Those without faith cannot reach Lord Krishna, as faith is the foundation of all transcendental knowledge. The Lord is the efficient cause of the universe, the material world manifesting from his Maya potency, and the living beings from his marginal Jiva potency. All creation, both sentient and non-sentient, are in him, but the Lord remains eternally independent and distinct from them. Wondrous is his transcendental sovereign position. He is the support, indweller, and preserver of all beings. All beings rest in him at the time of dissolution and are again manifest at a new creation. But still he remains untouched and detached from all these actions, being beyond his Maya Prakriti. The beautiful Lord Krishna is forever resplendent in his human-like form of ideal gorgeousness and eternity, even when he descends to this plane. The foolish mistake his form to be mundane and transient, not knowing him to be the Lord of Lords, the supreme absolute person. His true devotees, however, worship him with pure intelligence and single devotion, incessantly singing of his glories, his name, his form, his qualities, and his deeds in the association of the sadhus, and attain his eternal loving service in the all-blissful realm. The worshippers of impersonal Brahman, the worshippers of the universal forms, the performers of sacrifices and the knowers of the Vedas, as well as those who desire to drink the nectar of the gods and enjoy heaven, and the worshippers of the pantheon of minor gods all attain their respective goals by the mercy of Krishna alone, and are all bound to revolve within this material world. The Lord, however, takes all responsibility to provide for and protect his unalloyed devotees, who want nothing in this world. The Lord happily accepts whatever is offered to him with love, be it a leaf, flower, fruit, or water. Such gifts of loving hearts gives the greatest pleasure to the Lord, whereas even the most precious and rare articles are rejected by the Lord if they are motivated only by pomp and show. The worshippers of the gods, little g, attain to the gods, but the Lord's devotees go to him. All things, what you eat, what you offer in sacrifice, excuse me. All things, what you eat, what you offer in sacrifice, what you give, and the vows you keep, do them as an offering to Krishna, and you will be free from all reaction, both good and bad, and will, being linked to the Lord in love, come to him. The Lord is equal to all, but those who wholeheartedly and ardently love him and serve him with unflinching faith, the Lord reciprocates such love with his love. Those who are given cent per cent to the cultivation of his loving service, even if they are addicted to sinful habits, are really to be regarded as sadhu. Whosoever maintains no judgment towards the Lord's devotees and declares this truth, that the Lord's servants are never vanquished, will themselves quickly become virtuous and attain to eternal joy. There are no bars or exclusion from real devotion. Even those who may be regarded by society to be low-born, they too can attain the supreme goal if they take full refuge in the Lord. So Krishna says, always think of me, be my devotee, worship me and bow down to me. In so offering yourself to me and taking shelter in me alone, you will come to me. So the acronym to remember the chapter is KING, as the chapter is also the King of Knowledge sometimes called. Just as a pearl is hidden within a shell, or as a king travels surrounded by an entourage, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is hidden in the middle of the conversation. In the 9th chapter, Krishna outlines the king of all knowledge and the most secret of all secrets. He explains the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, the perfection of spiritual practice, and the ultimate goal of life. So the first letter K, knowledge, refers to verses 1 to 3. Krishna explains that the knowledge he is about to impart is most confidential, since it illuminates the true position and nature of the soul in relation to God. There is a notion that belief in God is intellectually immature or philosophically naive. However, logical and rational analysis of the complexity, design, and intricate engineering of this creation makes plain that there must be some conscious intelligence behind it. To categorically deny this suggests a stubborn, irrational, and illogical predisposition towards atheism. Thus, Krishna explains that the knowledge he is about to impart is state-specific. In other words, one must be non-envious and faithful to understand it. Faith is not opposed to knowledge, but is actually a prerequisite for receiving it. Second letter is I. I for inconceivable relationships, verses 4 to 10. An idea is conceived within the mind. A child is conceived within the womb. In other words, a concept is contained within something. However, since the qualities and characteristics of the Lord are unlimited, they cannot be contained within any boundaries, and thus God's activities and relationships are deemed inconceivable. In this section, Krishna begins to impart knowledge of his inconceivable relationships with the universe and all living entities. While this knowledge gives an indication of the character, greatness, and capacity of God, it also exposes our inability to comprehend such matters through mundane logic and reason. The next letter, N, non-worship, verses 11 to 25. Even after Krishna explains the opulence and qualities of his personal form, there are many who misunderstand the Supreme. Because Krishna appears in a human-like form, some deem him an ordinary human being and believe a personal form of God to be an elementary and infantile concept. Others believe that God manifests innumerable forms, represented by the various demigods, each of whom are worthy of worship. Others cannot perceive of anything beyond this universe, and therefore consider the cosmos to be the supreme object of worship. All such persons sidestep the worship of the Supreme Personality, whom one can see face to face and have a relationship with. While some claim that all paths lead to the same destination, Krishna highlights that he awards different results to a person's worship based on their motivation and understanding. Then the letter G, glories of bhakti, verses 26 to 34. In this way, Krishna establishes the personal form of God to be the highest and most complete manifestation of the Supreme. The greater something is, the higher the qualification to achieve it. To get into a good university, you need higher grades. To buy a bigger house, you need greater funds. Similarly, to approach God in the most intimate and personal way, one requires the greatest qualification: complete purity of consciousness, free of any tinge of selfish motivation. Krishna explains that such purity is characterized by constant spiritual absorption with mind, body, and word, where one's entire life becomes a spiritual offering, saturated with love and devotion. This is Krishna consciousness, and this is the essential teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. All right, there we are. Do we have any questions?
Yes, there's one.
Could you kindly guide me on how to dedicate all my action to Krishna over a 24 hours and full day?
Yes. That's the crux of our problem, isn't it? Everything exists within consciousness. So that means that everything is dependent on your inner motivation. So if your motivation is to live your life as an offering to the Lord, then everything you do will follow that. So from an external point of view, karma and bhakti, they're exactly the same. Everything that the bhakti yogi does and the karma yogi does are the same. But the difference is this one word, devotion. So who has devotion for the Lord, then everything they do will be inspired by their desire to offer themselves to the Lord. This is exactly the same activities that one does, but with a different inner motivation. So everything you do, Krishna says, while walking, while talking, while sleeping, while eating, all of these things, if you're conscious of the Lord and try to offer everything that you do to Him, then those exact same activities, which will actually normally bind us to the world, as we know, Isaac Newton famously said that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So many of Newton's theories or statements have been challenged, contradicted, and proven to be not entirely correct. But this one, that has never changed. That has never been disproved. And not only is it Newton's law, it's the law of the Veda, the law given in the Bhagavad Gita, that everything you do has an equal and opposite reaction. So that means that is the law of karma. So, but those same activities, if you do those same activities his name was Narayan Das Adhikari, but he was better known as Professor Nishikanta Sanyal. He was a disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And one time his brother came to stay with him. He lived in the ashram, and his brother came to stay with him. And he said, "So what do you do here all day?" And he said, "Nothing that you would be able to understand. Nothing at all that you do, we do." And his brother said, "Well, that's not true, because we just saw you eating sabji, rice, dal, everything. I do that, and chapati, so on, I do that, and you do that." And he said, his brother, Professor Sanyal, said, "No, we do not eat." And he said, "Well, you do, I saw you eating." And he said, "No, because eating means that there's the idea is consumption. But we have no idea about consumption. We honor Krishna's prasadam. And it may look like the same thing that you do, but it's entirely different, because it's not based on consumption. In other words, we don't regard Krishna's prasadam to be food. We regard it as grace, and we are honoring that grace. So although both things look exactly the same, they're categorically different due to the consciousness of the practitioner. So how to dedicate every action to the Lord is by changing your consciousness. You have to understand and believe that everything is meant for Krishna's satisfaction. The whole world is created only for that. And unfortunately, we're thinking that this world is for us, right? And we're thinking, that every one of us is the, master of all we survey, or the most important person in our own small universe, right? People say that, don't they? You've got to look after number one, and that's you, right? You're number one. But there can't be everyone being number one. And because that means sooner or later, your universe is coming into clash with my universe. So then we have to make laws, right? There have to be laws, and there have to be, an understanding. You don't take my stuff, I won't take your stuff. And if you do anything wrong, some judgment will come against you to give justice to me if you did something wrong against me. So this is what happens when there are many. But when there's only one, There is no need for any of that. And if we understand that that one is Krishna, then this whole world is meant for his satisfaction. And because we are also part of this world, that means we are also meant for his satisfaction. Once you understand that principle, then your journey into spiritual life begins in earnest. So rather than thinking that Krishna is there to provide me with all of my desires, rather we are to think that I exist to satisfy his desires. How that is in a practical way, that will be revealed to you as you progress in your spiritual life. So, but first of all, we have to understand the world is meant for him, and that means I am also meant for him. So once you understand that, once you accept that, because sometimes that's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, right? Oh, but what about me? What about all my ambitions, all my desires, everything that I want? What about that? Once Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote in a poem, and in that poem, the part of that poem, he says, all wealth is the property of Narayan, and all women are meant for Krishna. He is the enjoyer. And all name and fame is meant for Guru Vaishnava. So this is one line. Then later, one man who read that, he asked him, but what does that mean for us? We are men. We are men. What's our position then? And Saraswati Thakur's reply was, it's very clear, you have no position. So this is then that's a little difficult for us to swallow that, you know. But actually that's the truth. The truth is everything is meant for him, and that means I am also meant for him. And as soon as we are able to accept that, then our trajectory will go in a different way in life. So this is our first necessity, is to understand that we are meant for Krishna. Then everything else will flow from that. Okay. What next? Oh dear.
Any other questions?
Online? No?
I think we had some questions from last week, remember that? Are there any questions from the homework at all from last week?
Okay, so we can discuss our Guru Maharaj's explanation of these two verses, famous verses, Apichet Sudaracharo Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak Sadoreva Samantabhya Samyak Vyavishito Hisha. This is verse 30 and then verse 31. Kipram bhavati dharmatma sashvats chantim negachyate kunteya apratijanihi name bhakta pranashyate. So this is it says here that Bhaktivinoda Thakur received this explanation in a dream. So this is given in the book as a dream, but the actual fact is that the history of this is that the Mahajans, there are 12 Mahajans in the universe, and they were all together discussing this verse and the meaning of this verse. They could not come to the proper understanding that those who are ananyabhak, unalloyed devotion, that whatever they do, because of their position, they may come to be virtuous. But actually, their idea was that doesn't sound right, because those devotee, Ananyabhak means those who are fully surrendered to the Lord, they're already beyond virtue.
Sorry, can we just check that the translators are up to speed with what you're talking about? Do you mind? Are the translators understanding? Okay, yep, I just looked confused.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then it seems like a redundant statement. Those who are fully devoted to Krishna, that they will become dharmatma, or they will become religious. It doesn't make sense. This was their quandary. And it said that time Bhaktivinoda Thakur was walking in the sky chanting his japa when they saw him. Oh, they said, there is Ananyabhak devotee, fully surrendered devotee. He can explain the meaning of this verse to us. And he explained that what it means actually is that those who are fully surrendered to the Lord, even though it may appear that they're doing something abominable, if you believe that they are a sadhu because they are on the path of devotion, if you declare that to the world, you, the person who declares that, you will become dharmatma. Not them, you. You will become, they're already gone past dharmatma. You will become dharmatma, righteous. So, when we were publishing the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's translation or commentary on it, we were going from his Bengali commentary. And we heard Guru Maharaj explain this point many times, but in the Bengali version, this explanation is not given there. So we asked Guru Maharaj, why was it not included in your Bengali version, of your Bengali commentary? Because we've heard this from you many times. And two, should we include it in the English translation? So Guru Maharaj told us, I was requested by my godbrother, Bhakti Vichar Jajava Maharaj, not to include the meaning of this verse, that meaning, in my commentary. And the reason is because it opens the gate for people who are doing abominable things to say, I'm an Anyabhak, I'm a fully surrendered devotee of Krishna. Then it's okay, isn't it? And you have to say that I'm a sadhu, even though I'm doing this, and that. If I'm an Anyabhak, you have to say I'm a sadhu. So it means opening the gate to people doing all kinds of malpractice and misbehavior in the name of being fully surrendered to the Lord. So Srila Jajava Maharaj's apprehension was that it will give a license to immoral people to do immoral things and then claim to be fully surrendered devotee, and therefore justify what they did. So Srila Guru Maharaj agreed with that, and so it wasn't contained in his original commentary. Then, okay, we understand that. Then we said, so should we include it in the English commentary? And so Guru Maharaj thought for a few minutes, and then he said, yes, you must include it, because if I don't give that, who will give that? It will be lost to the world. So you must give it. So this is in the English commentary, but you won't find it in Guru Maharaj's original Bengali commentary. That was quicker than I thought. Srila Maharaj would say about the Bhagavad Gita in general that no other scripture in the world where the Lord pleads for himself so openly. Here he is telling everything, everything is in me, but nothing is in me. And I am not in them, but they are all in me. I am the cause of everything. And you should worship me. Very, unashamedly, he says, worship me, bow down to me, become my devotee, do everything you do as an offering to me, and you will come to me. Very, like shamelessly he's telling that. And also he's telling, and don't think that because I appear in this human form, that I am not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the foolish think that. The foolish deride me when they see me in this human form. But this is my original form. The Shama Sundar, beautiful blackish form of the Lord. And those who worship that form, they'll come to me. So many places he's given this advice, and also a very beautiful verse. Trying to find that. So many we've heard before, of course, but
Prabhu, can I just ask while you're looking?
yeah.
It seems many times throughout the Gita that Krishna is referring to himself in the third person, and other times more directly. Can you shed some light on?
Yeah, that's because he wants the listener or those who the reader of this to understand who he is. So some of his the things that he says are personal, and some are universal. So the universal principles he speaks about himself in the third person, and those that are more intimate, and he speaks directly about that. So some of it is to teach us. Well, all of it is to teach us, of course, but who he's referring to. He wants us to understand that it's not just, he's not just saying, do that to me. You can do all of these things for me, but understand who I am. What is my position? And this verse, very famous verse, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakti prayaschati tadaham bhaktya uparitam ashnani prayatatmanaha. Offer to me with devotion a leaf, flower, a fruit, or water. I accept that offering, the clean-hearted devotee. This is very beautiful for us to understand that Krishna doesn't need anything from us, actually, It is only what he has given to us, we can offer that to him. In India, they have this, when you go to worship the Ganges, the river Ganges, you do that by taking water from the Ganges and then offering it back. Ganga Puja, Ganga Jal. So this is the same principle, that we worship Krishna with the things that he's already given to us. And it's not that he needs a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, any of these things, but he wants the loving devotion that goes along with that, or that is the motivation for that. But he's saying it doesn't have to be any big fancy thing. It's just a simple thing. What could be more simple than a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water? All of those things completely available to anyone. But if you offer that to me with your heart, I accept it. And we know this story. I'm sure many of you have heard this story before, when Krishna goes to visit the wife of Vidura. He goes to visit Vidura, but Vidura wasn't there. But his wife is there, and Vidura is a devotee of the Lord, and his wife also. But they are Brahmins, and so they were poor. They were very poor. And you can imagine if somebody knocks on your door and you open the door and it's Lord Krishna standing there, you're going to be a little bit flustered, aren't you? You know, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Yes, Krishna, come in. So Krishna came in, and she's thinking like, oh, I must offer something to him. But we don't have anything. I know we haven't got anything in the house. So anyway, she's looking, and then she finds a bunch of bananas. What? Okay. So anyway, she finds some bananas, and she comes back out with the bananas, and she wants to offer Krishna these bananas. But she's so flustered because the Supreme Personality of Godhead just knocked on her door, that she's peeling the bananas and throwing the fruit and giving Krishna the banana skin. And Krishna's happily eating the banana skin. Then Vidura appears, and he sees this, that Krishna's eating banana skins, and she's throwing away the fruit, and he's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And he tells his wife, then, like, what are you doing? We haven't got much. We've got some bananas, and you're just throwing the banana and giving Krishna the skin. What are you thinking? Then Krishna says, oh, no, Vidura, I'm not eating bananas or banana skins. I'm eating her love. And that's what she's offering to me, and I'm relishing that very much. So this is the most important thing is love, to offer what we do with love. I remember, you've all heard of Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Guru Maharaj liked her very much. He liked her sacrificing nature. And sometimes he would send devotees to go and see her. And anyway, one thing that she said, which Guru Maharaj liked very much, was, we may not be able to do many big things in this life, but we can do many small things with great love. And Guru Maharaj liked that very much. So, this is what's required from us, is because Guru Maharaj says Krishna is a consumer of hearts, not so much, minds and intelligence and all of these things. He likes the heart, the Lord of the heart. And here he says, Jat karoshi jatasnasi, Jat jahoshi dadasi Jat tapasyasi kunteya tat kurosha mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give, and whatever vow you keep, do everything as an offering to me. This is the crux, that we should try to do everything for Krishna. Then,
We have a question.
yes.
How do Ragamag, spontaneous devotion, and Vidimag, rule-based devotion, differ in their expression of service? and what are the benefits of each path?
Well, first of all, Vidimarga means the path of rules and regulations. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, if you give too much attention to Vidhi or rules and regulations, you may be cast down to Vaikuntha. So, which is a really difficult proclamation for us to understand, because from where we are, right? If we were to say that, maybe we'd be cast down into hell. But he is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a devotee of Krishna in Vrindavan, and so his position is that Vidimarga is Vaikuntha worship, Aishvarja worship. And not to say there's anything wrong with that, but in comparison with the Ragamarga worship of Krishna in Vrindavan, it is not our line and not our goal. So, in fact, Srila Govinda Maharaj says, Western people cannot follow Vidimarga. It is not possible. And I would even go as far to say, most Indian people today can't follow Vidimarga. Because Vidimarga means everything you have to do perfectly. Who you are worshipping, if you don't do that worship at the proper time of the day, and don't pronounce the mantra properly, and don't, all of these things, many things combined, then you will make seva aparad. And you will, instead of being benefited from that, you'll go down from that. So the line of the worship of Krishna is Ragamarga. Those who follow Vidimarga, he's saying that what are the benefits of that? The benefits is that it makes those devotees very serious about their sadhana. And they have to do it perfectly. But more or less, in Kali Yuga, nobody can do sadhana perfectly. So, and Sri Govinda Maharaj also said, Raga Marga is very suitable for Western people because they don't follow any rules and regulations or anything. But that doesn't mean that Raga Marga doesn't have rules and regulations. There are rules and regulations in Raga Marga also. The idea being that by following the rules and regulations, we will transition from Vidhi into Raga Marga. So Raga Marga means the path of love. But without love, while we are lacking love for Krishna, then we have to follow rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti. But the goal is not Vaikuntha. The goal is Braja, Vrindavan. And there are a different set of rules to Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, there everyone worships the Lord with Aishvarja, means pomp and ceremony. There everyone follows the proper rules and regulations, and it's a very, you can say, formal type of worship. So we can understand this like in relation to, you can say, relation to our royal family in the UK, you can say, right? So King Charles, he has many different titles and many different faces, if you like. One of those being that he's actually the head of the Church of England. The monarch is the head of the Church of England. He's also the commander of the armed forces. And so sometimes he has to dress up in all of the uniform and everything and go and perform different functions in those roles. And sometimes he has to ride in a big gold carriage and, while the people stand on the road waving their flags and all of that. So you can say that's something like Aishvarya, a type of Aishvarya, that people worship him in a particular way. And no doubt he must get some pleasure from that. But when he's at home and he throws off his crown and he kicks off his shoes and they bring him a cup of tea and he puts his feet up and is watching the omnibus edition of EastEnders or whatever it is that he likes to do, I don't know what that is. And he's got the children and grandchildren and all around him, that must be more pleasurable for him than all the pomp and ceremony of his kingship, if you like. So this is something like the difference between Narayan and Krishna. Narayan is the majestic aspect of the Lord in Vidhimarga, the rules and regulations, and Krishna is the personification of Ragamarga. All Ragamarga devotees are worshipping Krishna. And there is no Aishvarya in Vrindavan. It doesn't mean there's not wonderful, grand things there. Every day we say this Dibyad Brindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnangara Singhasanasta. Ratnangara Singhasan means that Krishna is sitting on a throne bedecked with jewels. Ratna means jewels, like filled with jewels. So that there is all kinds of opulence in Vrindavan. It's not that it's lacking in that, but the mood is different. The mood of Braja Bhakti is raga, is love. So all of the devotees in Vrindavan, they're worshipping the Lord with fully, inspired by love. It doesn't mean that in Vaikuntha, the servants of Narayan don't love him. They love him with all their heart. But the Aishvarya prevents them from expressing that love in any other way than in regal, majestic adoration. They can only do that. But in Vrindavan, the mood of Vrindavan is that Krishna rather dislikes Aishvarya. He wants intimacy. He wants friendship. He wants love. And the highest kind of love in Vrindavan, Madhura Rasa, and that is actually Parakiya Rasa. There are two types of Madhurya Rasa. There is Parakiya and there is Shwakiya. Shwakiya means like lawful married relationship. Krishna has 16,108 Mahishis or queens in Dwarka. That is Swakiya. They're all married to Krishna. And in Braja, all of the gopis, many of the gopis, they're married to others. Even Srimati Radharani, she's married to Abhimanyu Ghosh. He's her husband. But when they're in the middle of the night, when Krishna plays his flute, they forget all about their husbands and they all go to dance with Krishna in the moonlight under the trees in the forests of Vrindavan. They can't resist that. They have to do that because they're inspired by love for Krishna. That love transcends everything. And this is also explained here, that even by crossing the law, those who come to serve the Lord, they're the highest type. So the cowherd girls of Vrindavan, those who are married, they're going to Krishna, crossing the law. And irresistibly they're going to Krishna. And sometimes even their husband may be preventing them, physically preventing them from going. Where are you going? I'm going to see Krishna. No, you can't go to see Krishna. What are you talking about? Then it's said that they shed their body and go in their spiritual form to be with Krishna. So, irresistibly, this is, Srila Jiva Goswami has given this explanation of the word Bhagavan, coming from Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. That Bhagavan means, of course, in a general sense, Bhagavan means who possesses 6 kinds of opulences in their fullness, all that, we've heard all of that. But in the ultimate consideration, Bhagavan means that whoever comes in connection with him, the only response they can have is to offer themselves to him. That's the only genuine response when you come in connection with Bhagavan. You want to give yourself to him. So therefore, Jiva Goswami says, the word Bhagavan actually can only refer to Krishna in Vrindavan. And this is a difference that in Vaikuntha, there we find only 2.5 rasas expressed, and in Vrindavan all 5 rasas. But over arching all of those rasas is Madhura rasa. That's also called Ujjala rasa or Adi rasa, the original rasa, Madhura rasa. Everything in Vrindavan, all the other rasas, they're tinged with Madhura rasa. The Madhura means sweetness, so the sweetest pastimes of the Lord are in that humble village of Gokula, where Krishna tends his father's cows. He's the cowherd boy. And playing his flute and wandering with his boyfriends through the forests, and calling his girlfriends to come and dance with him in the night. This is Vrindavan. There, Krishna's majesty, Aishwarya, all of that is hidden, because Krishna sees that as an obstacle to his devotion. He cannot express himself fully when Aishwarya is there. Yes.
We have another question. Just going to put it in the chat. In Bhagavad Gita 9:23, Krishna states that worship of demigods ultimately reaches him, yet is performed improperly. What does improper worship mean in this context?
Just what it says, that they're misunderstanding the position of Krishna and the position of the Devata that they're worshipping. So that the god or goddess that they worship is whatever they can offer to them is coming from Krishna, and is in but they're thinking that it is independent of Krishna. So although that worship comes to Krishna, it is the practitioner of that, they're not understanding that. They're thinking that it's going to that particular god or goddess. But if we can conceive that all the gods and goddesses, they're all servitors of Lord Krishna, then just like when somebody offers something to us, immediately we offer it to Guru and Krishna. So those gods and goddesses, whatever they receive from their worshippers, they're offering that to Krishna. So that's what it means when Krishna says it comes to me ultimately. But the worshipper doesn't understand that, and they're thinking that those gods and goddesses are independent of Krishna. They have some independent agency to give something independently of Krishna or without connection with Krishna. But any gift that can be given by the gods is coming from Krishna. So in that sense, it means that those who are worshipping the devatas, that is improper or misconceived worship, because Krishna is the behind all of that. So it's like you can say, if somebody goes to the minister to ask for something, but the minister is the servant of the king, then he cannot give anything without the sanction of the king. So the person who's petitioning that particular minister may think that their power is independent of the king or independent of the government, but it ultimately it is not so. So that's all it means, really, how that is improper or imperfect. That direct worship of Krishna, that is for those of a deeper understanding, and when one goes directly to Krishna, then the connection with Krishna brings about a different kind of result. So it's said in the scripture that if you have no desires for anything in this world, you should worship Krishna. And if you have all kinds of desires for things of this world, you should worship Krishna. Because everything comes from him ultimately. And if you go to him directly, then maybe you'll get what you want from him, but you certainly will get what you need from him. That's a song, isn't it, somewhere? Mm-hmm. Can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you might get what you need. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mick Jagger. So because if we connect everything with Krishna, good or bad or whatever it may be, if we go to Krishna for that, then Krishna may give you or he may not give you, but he will purify you. But just by the fact that you have gone to him, he may give you whatever you want. And we should always know that we should be very careful about what we want. You know, they say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So, you know, we all have so many plans and designs and everything, and it's true, man proposes, God disposes. So, you know, then nothing happens without the sanction of the Lord. And we may go to this person or this god or that goddess or for all of these things that we want. But if we go to Krishna directly, he'll give us what we need. He knows what you want and he knows what you need. And he may or may not give that to you. Just like we hear about Sudama Vipra, Krishna's school friend, and he was very poor, and his wife said, "Hey, aren't you friends with Lord Krishna? Didn't you go to school with Lord Krishna? Then if you go and see him and ask him, he'll help us. We haven't got any money, we haven't got anything. But if you go to see Lord Krishna, definitely he'll help us." So Sudama thought, yeah, that would be... He actually was thinking, I don't want to go and ask Krishna for anything, but wouldn't it be great to go and see Krishna again? I'd really like to see Krishna again. So he goes to Dwarka, and Krishna knows he's coming, right? And he gets some reception for him. He comes in his rags, and but he gets Rukmini to wash that devotee's feet, and they sit him on a nice bedstead, and but all he's thinking is, oh, again I'm seeing the beautiful smiling face of Lord Krishna. And so he's so self-satisfied by that he forgets to ask him for any help. And then Krishna says, hey, did you bring anything for me? And he says, no, I didn't bring anything. But it wasn't true, because although they were very poor, they had some flat rice and a little bit of yogurt, and mix that together. You know, sometimes in India people have that for breakfast sometimes, don't they? Flat rice and doi. And so some of that put in a little cloth, tied it up. And Krishna said, did you bring anything for me? He's seeing like all of the opulence of Dwarka, all of the beautiful palaces and so on. And he's thinking, like, I got this old piece of rag with a bit of flat rice and yogurt in it, you know. Then he says, no, I didn't bring anything. And then Krishna says, well, what's that? I don't know, it's nothing. And Krishna grabs that from him and takes that. Oh, so sweet. You didn't want to give me this? How sweet this is. I don't know anything sweeter than this. Anyway, then after spending some time with the Lord, Sudama goes back home. He's like happy, so happy, after spending some time with Krishna. Maybe in the back of his mind he's thinking, I didn't ask him for help, but anyway, I saw Krishna. That's all. Then when he comes to the brow of the hill where his house was, with the broken down hut, and his wife and his son in rags, and he looked there, and instead of that, there's a great palace, and there's his wife and his son, like beautifully dressed and so nice. And he's thinking, did I go the wrong way? Like, is that my house? Then I can't understand. And he went, and his wife said, oh, you asked Krishna. We cannot say what kind of help he gave to us. No, I didn't ask him actually anything, because Krishna already knows what we need and what we want, and he wanted to give that. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, when he was telling us about this pastime of the Lord, he said Sudama accepted all of this wealth with a service-centric heart. He didn't just take it to enjoy. He saw it with a service-centric heart, and this is the all-important thing. So we know, right, that tomorrow, if any one of us was to, win the lottery or something, that we might say, thank you, Krishna, but we wouldn't be thinking of that in a service-centric way, or perhaps not like as our first priority, right? The first thing you're going to think, like, where am I going on my holiday? What exotic place? Who am I going to take with me? Like, what kind of house am I going to? Shall I get a new car? What kind of car am I? Like, these are the things that we're going to be thinking about, right? With that sudden arrival of that kind of wealth, and maybe somewhere on the list, like 20 or 30 things down, give something for the service of Krishna, maybe there, right? But and then we'll probably make the mistake of thinking that we're actually doing something to help Krishna or Krishna's devotees, rather than, like what really service is. So they say that, don't they? That money is the root of all evil. If you don't have that service-centric heart, then the things that you want, that you desire, may not give you real satisfaction. And that is, we've seen that, right? So many people got what they wanted, and it ruined their life. It ruined their life. So then, if we go to Krishna, we can be satisfied that whatever outcome comes from our desire will be spiritually beneficial for us, good or bad in the consideration of the material world. That doesn't matter, but because it's connected with Krishna, that good or bad must be good for us. If we can take it in that way, then that means we're developing that service-centric heart. And that's the all-important thing that we need, actually.
Isn't it also so that in our aspiration, practicing life,
One sec.
in our aspiring, practicing life, that little experience that we have, that we come to know that it is so wonderful not to want all these things anymore. That gives peace of mind, that because we see what it actually is, all the opulence, so-called opulence in the material world, it's like trivial or like not what the value that the aspiring devotee in little bit experience in his practicing life.
If you're fortunate enough to have that realization, then that's very good. But and we may even think that we have that, but then suddenly, if that were to come to us, then what would we do? So, then we know the theory, but do we have real realization of that? And sometimes we just come to terms with the facts, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me in this life anyway, so I just resign myself to that. But who can say, actually, what will be our reaction if those things did come in our life? We pray to the Lord that we won't get all of our desires fulfilled if they will make us forget Him. This is Kunti Devi's prayer, right? Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, she prays to Lord Krishna. When everything's going nicely for us, we don't really think about you. And when we say that, right, we may think like, thanks Krishna, thanks for that, fantastic. But we don't really think about Krishna. We think about all the things that we're going to do in our life that we want to do. But she says, but in the time of calamity, we're forced to think about you. We have no other alternative. We've got to think about you. We have to take shelter of you. That's our necessity. So she says, then let those calamities come again and again. This is a real devotee's prayer. A real devotee. Yes, so many things, bad things, according to worldly estimation, happened to the Pandavas. But Kunti Devi is saying, that just made us think about you more. So she invites that. But in reality, how many of us will invite that into our life? We want Krishna, and we want a nice life as well, We want a comfortable life as well. Yes, we want Krishna. When the problems come, yes, we may remember Krishna more. We may have to take shelter of Krishna more, but we're all still thinking like, until that's over with, then we can get on with our life. But But she's saying, no, like, just give that to me all the time. Put me in a situation where I have to think about you. I have to depend on you. Give me the worst possible calamities so that I can surrender to you more. This is a very high type of prayer. We need to stop, I think, today. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sunda Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Srida Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.